The following content is sponsored and does not necessarily reflect the views of WATD Radio. Now, Paul Ponders on 95.9 WATD. Be a part of the show. Call or text 781-837-4900. Now, here's your host, Paul Solano.
Greetings, everyone. How is everyone doing today? Thank you for listening to Paul Ponders on WATD. My name is Paul Solano of the PS&All Marketing Group. And as you probably already know, I also wear another hat as General Manager of Pearl Street Station Restaurant in Malden. Pearl Street Station was recently featured on America's Best Restaurants from Kentucky. One reason for this huge honor is because of Chef Felipe Fitzpatrick and his culinary team. Chef Felipe is a loyal listener through the Odyssey app. So hello to Chef Felipe out there. And also Ava, Molly T, and the hardworking crew over at Mary Lou's, who keep me going with a medium hot black coffee every Saturday. They're located over on 139 in Pembroke. And I also want to do a quick shout out to my friend, retired U.S. Naval Officer Sonny Williams, and her family for Sonny's safe return from the International Space Station. It was an incredible 286 days being stuck up there. But, Sonny, you finally made it home. Thank goodness. Congratulations to Sonny and astronaut Butch Wilmore. And you could please check out my PS&All Marketing Group blog for my past experiences and pictures with Sonny in 2007 and 2008 during and after her Expedition 14, and just has her running the Boston Marathon from the treadmill up at the International Space Station. So as I have continually stated over the past 15 shows, and would you believe it, this is show number 16, it has been an absolute honor and pleasure to be on WATD in the slot of The Boiling Point with Arthur Boyle. It was great having Arthur in studio last week, and I look forward to having him in studio in the near future. In fact, Arthur will be hosting this show on April 19th, while I will be coordinating a Bruins alumni game with Dave Jensen, Kevin Childs of Madison Mobile Media, and Frank Simonetti of the Boston Bruins alumni in Winthrop at 2 p.m. As I have stated in past shows, I am pleased to have Arthur as the executive consultant of Paul Ponders on WATD. I will be seeing Arthur later on to pick up some of our sponsor money. Again, thank you, Ben from Pembroke Collision and Ken from Bryanville Pizza Kitchen for remaining loyal and supportive to Arthur and myself. I also invite other potential sponsors to email me at paul@paulponders.com. But with us is Tim behind the glass. Tim, how are you?
Good afternoon, Paul. I'm doing all right. Got a little crazy earlier today here, but we're holding down the fort.
Well, your 24 years of experience really helped in getting everything back on track, and you are just a true master of what you do.
Oh, thank you.
And you're working alongside an intern, I believe his name is Paul as well.
Yeah, he's got a pretty good first name, right?
A great name.
Yeah.
We won't say that I'm appalled, Paul. But Paul, welcome.
Appalled, Paul. But boom.
Yes. Well, thank you. Rimshot. You have to show that sound effect button, right?
Yeah. Wait, hold on. Maybe I can get it up quick here.
There we go.
Give you a real one. You know, we got a drummer we keep in the back room that we bring out for the rim shots. Let's see if I can get one here quick. Hey, drummer, are we ready? Can we have a one-liner? Oh no, that's the newsroom. Hold on. There we go. Thank you. All right. Hey.
So Paul, the intern from Massasoit College, welcome. That's the rim shot, which you'll often hear during the Paul Ponders show. And beyond that glass is that Tom Gorman way back there. Hi, Tom. How are you?
Sure is, yes.
Great hearing Tom deliver the news on the way down from the Malden Medford area. Now, as an FYI, I will be dropping Paul Ponders episode number 58 at midnight on Sunday on YouTube, and then at 7 a.m. Monday on Spotify, iHeartMedia, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you stream your podcasts. My friends Greg Chastain and Ed Siegel from Voices of Hope will be my guests. And it's a great organization that has been in existence since 2009. They recently crossed the $1 million money raised mark for cancer research. Congratulations to this extremely talented group of volunteers. Sing it loud and sing it proud, Voices of Hope. So at this point, I see on the line we have the Pod Pro Entertainment Techie Toolbox segment with Techie Talonzo Amos and Shelley Wolf, global media firm owner of Toolbox Entertainment, and a past Paul Ponders guest. episode number 35. Shelley, you're on the line from Philadelphia. Hello, Shelley.
Hey, Paul. How you doing?
I'm well, thanks. How are you? I went a little bit long there on getting you on the air, but welcome.
Thank you. No, happy to be here today. So
absolutely.
Beautiful day out.
Are you in Philadelphia?
I am. So getting ready for my next travel next week. So
awesome.
Trying to reorganize here. So
absolutely. Yeah. Well, safe travels. So Shelley, I speak to so many people who tune into the show in Paul Ponder's land, WATD land, and they say that guest that you have on is absolutely fabulous, and she's actually taught us some things that we just did not know or did not realize. So thank you for all these great tips.
Absolutely. Well, today we have a really exciting tip that I'm really excited to talk about. I'm currently taking a grad class around AI authorship and digital literacy. And AI, as you know, is such a hot topic right now. And so I thought, what better way than to use this and talk to our listeners about AI and how it's impacting their lives.
All righty.
That's about today. So I'm going to jump right in and talk about, again, artificial intelligence, or some just may call it AI. It's the buzzword, as we know, of the year, but many of us still feel like it's a little mysterious. And is it helpful? Is it safe? What does it actually do on our phone? So today we're going to break down AI and what it really means for everyday users, especially those of us that are over 40. And so let's explore how it can make life a little bit easier, but let's also watch out and make sure that we're staying safe. I want to think about, are we already using it? Because that question comes up quite often. And the answer is yes. You might be surprised to learn that every day you are using it. It's not some far off, robot that's coming to get us or a sci-fi movie, but we are living it right now. And the AI powers such things as autocorrect. So when you type a text and it's changing or making a recommendation, that's all AI. Our voice assistant. So when we're saying, hey, Siri, make a phone call, or hey, Google Home or Google Assistant, turn on the TV or turn on my appliances, that's all AI. Photo organization. So on our phones, I don't know, recently many of us got a notice from, I think it was Google, that was saying hey, if you want to keep on this organization around your phones, or your photos and where you landed and where you've traveled to, you need to select a button. It's because AI is in the background organizing your travels and your pictures on a map, giving it its actual coordinates and everything, spam filters. And then one most important thing, this actually isn't around phones, but technology people don't realize, is hand sanitizing machines and auto sinks and auto toilets. That's all driven by AI. So it's very interesting, right? You don't need to be afraid of it, but it is working behind those scenes to make our lives more convenient. Wow. But what I challenge all of us to think about is convenience good or is it bad? And how is it impacting us today? So some of the features on your phone to think about are, can they help? These are helping us with, again, weather updates, sending text to our phones, playing music when we ask it to. So we talked about some of these apps over the weeks in the past about AI, and apps like MyFitnessPal or a sleep app use these AI background to track your habits and make suggestions. So sometimes you might, on your Apple Watch, it may say, you need to get up and move. That's AI telling you because they're tracking you. Again, we talked about photos. If you're using Adobe Scan or Google Photos, they use AI to crop and enhance. So sometimes I'm getting really great pictures of the moon, but I also realize on the back end it's being a little bit enhanced when I'm taking those photos, even though I'm not making choices to enhance it. It's just auto happening. Chatbots. Have you ever used ChatGPT or Grammarly to help with your writing? These are generate to-do lists or different ideas. These are all chatbots and writing tools that are using AI. Now, on the flip side, AI safety and privacy risks do exist. So while AI tools are incredibly useful, they also come with risk. And that's what I want to talk about, is being cautious of what data you are sharing. Many AI tools collect data is learning from you, right? So AI, you are teaching AI. So I don't think people realize that. And when you are personalizing your experiences, but it's still taking you as the human to put all that information in there. And you should always read what permissions an app is asking for. So like, for example, does a photo app really need access to a microphone? Probably not. And you can say no. So every time like privacy stuff comes up, like I know a lot of times I'll download a file and say, oh, I need access to your documents and I need access to this. And I'm like, absolutely not. That's my personal information. So don't share personal information with AI bots. It might feel like you're beginning then to talk to a friend and never share private details, addresses, social security numbers, bank information, with any form of AI assistance, as it is not always secure. Again, watch for those fake AI apps. There are some shady apps out there that are pretending to be AI tools. Stick to trusted ones that you've learned about, you've researched. And again, like Apple's App Store or Google Play, check the reviews, only download apps with highest ratings and very clear privacy policies. Using these control settings is really, really important. So a couple, again, quick tips for safe AI use: stick to trusted apps and official stores, check app permissions regularly, don't share personal information or financial information with chatbots, use built-in security features like Face ID, passcodes, and what we talked about, the 2 authentic factor authentication practices. Update your phone and apps when needed, especially around security patches. And that's how you will protect yourself. So AI isn't just something to fear, it is something to be understood. Use wisely. It can simplify your life and save you time. But next time that you use voice detection, let your phone help recognize the photos or even ask an AI assistant for recipe. Remember, it's a tool in your digital toolbox. Make sure you're keeping your information safe. And remember to always protect yourself when using digital technology.
Wow. That's heavy stuff. We're going to have to post that on our website and really just get that out there to our listeners. But thank you so much, Shelley, for the great, informative discussion on what we need to know.
Yeah, absolutely. My pleasure. Awesome. I always love bringing this information.
Absolutely. So how do our listeners contact you?
Yeah, so they can reach us at info@podproentertainment.com.
Super. That's great. Well, we look forward to next week, to hearing more helpful tips next week. And until we meet again, Shelley, I want to thank you again, Shelley Wolf from Toolbox Entertainment. And I thank you for being on. #Indeed.
Thank you. I really appreciate you having us. And again, stay curious, stay safe, and remember, it's never too old to get smart with your tech. So #Imagine. Stay well.
Indeed. You as well, Shelley. Thank you.
Cheers.
Now, as Arthur Boyle says, it's not time to make the donuts, it's time to pay some bills. So let's hear from our sponsors. Attention WATD listeners, don't leave any money on the table. Call Performance Appraisal LLC and appraiser Arthur Boyle and Associates. Arthur may be reached at 781-293-6900 or Boyle6900 at AOL.com. Since 1994, Performance has developed many niche services ranging from appraising single-family homes to providing expert witness testimony. Again, call our own Arthur Boyle at 781-293-6900. Greetings, ATD listeners. It's Paul Solano of Paul Ponders promoting a fine wine and what to dine Italian wine tasting event to be held at the Pearl Street Station Restaurant, 53 Summer Street in Malden on Monday, March 24th from 5:30 to 7:30. This event, led by Pembroke's nationally recognized wine guru, Dave Boyle, is sponsored by the National Italian-American Sports Hall of Fame Massachusetts chapter. For ticket information of $30 per person or $50 per couple, you may contact me at paul@paulponders.com. South Street Diner, located at 178 Nealon Street, Boston, is Boston's only all-night dining destination, open 7 nights a week for late-night eats. Yep, that's 24/7 in my book. Owner Saul Seidel has grown this former iconic Blue Diner to be the place to go for keeping the party going or filling your stomachs before you head home to the South Shore or the Cape and the Islands and listen to WATD along the way home. Ask Saul about his grandmother's banana bread recipe, the Boston cream pancakes, umpteen eggs Benny offerings, and tell him that Paul Ponders sent you.
Have you heard about Pembroke Collision? Price and quality don't often collide under the same roof. Not so at Pembroke Collision at 192 Matakeesit Street in Pembroke. Pembroke Collision will work with you and your insurance company to get you back on the road in a safe and satisfactory vehicle. Put your trust in Ben Bastianelli and his crew at Pembroke Collision. Just call 781-293-4040 or find them on Facebook. Pembroke Collision, happy to work for you.
Have you tried Bryantville Pizza Kitchen? From antipasto to baked ziti, specialty gourmet burgers, over 30 different kinds of pizza, and that's steak and cheese. Come on in and they'll show you why they made a reputation as being the best steak and cheese sub in the area. There's nobody that puts it together like your friends at the Bryantville Pizza Kitchen. Chicken wings and fingers and the famous flavors complement their stir-fry dinners. If subs and wraps aren't enough for your table tonight, expand into Greek and Caesar salads, maybe even a calzone. Anyway, it's all good at the Bryantville Pizza Kitchen. And don't forget, invite them to your next catered event. They'll bring the food. Bryantville Pizza Kitchen. Call them at 781-293-9857.
Paul Ponders continues on 95.9 WATD. Once again, Paul Solano.
We are back. Thanks for listening to Paul Ponders on WATD. The call-in number is 781-837-4900. And as I mentioned earlier, like Chef Felipe, you could download the Odyssey app. And my daughter Ann out in California has also downloaded the app. And hi, Ann. How you doing today? She's out there in California doing some mortgages and real estate. She's doing really well out there. You heard a commercial for the wine tasting event in Malden to benefit the National Italian American Sports Hall of Fame Education Awards Program. Now, President Dave Caiazzo and the board will be welcoming us to this very special evening at Pearl Street Station. And while on the subject of Dave Caiazzo, I mentioned last week that Dave was recently selected to be inducted into the National Semi-Professional Baseball Hall of Fame in October. Congrats to Dave for being inducted into your 5th Hall of Fame. Unbelievable. But as a slight correction, Dave threw 20 strikeouts in 8 innings back in 1972 against Everett. I had mentioned 21, but 20 Ks is probably a record for Massachusetts high school sports. So, again, congratulations to Dave Caiazzo. And if you have a chance to, come on up to Malden at 5:30 on Monday evening. You'll hear about some wonderful wines. And maybe have some of the Pearl Street Station samplings as well. Now, listeners can go to paulponders.com to find subscription links to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube, as well as finding past Paul Ponders on WATD shows. Now, we were going to have our financial wing of Olympic proportion with Olympian and former Boston Bruins winger Dave Jensen, senior loan officer for Riverworks Credit Union. But Dave is feeling a little under the weather. So, Dave, I know you're listening, so I hope you feel better. And we look forward to next week. So what we have right now is our guests. We have 2 people online. This is the first time we've been doing this as a Paul Ponders show with 2 guests on a call-in. But I would like to bring up on the line Mr. Eddie Serino and Miss Christine Moan. Welcome. Are you there? Eddie?
Hey.
Hey, Eddie. How are you? How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm well, thanks. Thanks for calling in. And I believe, Christine, are you there?
I am. I'm here.
The wonderful magic of Tim behind the glass. So that's great. Thank you so much, Tim. Well, I have you on because of the fact that, Eddie, I've known you for many years. We've done business together. And
decades.
Yeah, decades upon decades, a long, long time. Absolutely. And you have something special coming up next Wednesday in Boston. So I'm going to leave this to you and Christine to take it from here. A very, very special event in Boston.
Okay. Christine, you want to go first or you want me to go?
You go first, and then I'll follow right behind.
Okay. So next Wednesday we'll be in a show, A Nightmare with Casey Sherman. Casey is a New York Times best-selling author. He's really a master of the true crime genre. The first act is about the Boston Strangler, which was the first thing that he got involved with. He was a writer, a TV producer for years, and his aunt, Mary Sullivan, was the last known person that was killed by the Strangler, and he went through years and decades of research to try to figure out the story of the Boston Strangler and what really happened. I played Detective Jim Melton in the first act, which is based on the Strangler, and he was convinced, because he was at every crime scene, that DeSalvo didn't do it. And as Casey says, he literally, when they had his aunt's body exhumed years later, he literally held his skull in his hand. And that's Casey really refers to himself as an accidental author, and that was the start of, it's become a fantastic career from him. John Fiore from The Sopranos is in the show. Steve Sweeney, who's been a huge Boston comic for decades, and then a lot of local actors that have been around for years are in it. And it's going to be a great show, and it goes through all of three of Casey's books. The middle act is about the Lana Turner and Johnny Stompanato case in Hollywood. And the last act is Helltown, which is a story of a serial killer on Cape Cod. And he's already sold Helltown as a series, and it's being produced by Robert Downey Jr. and his wife, Susan, under Team Downey.
Wow.
So let me have Christine talk, because she's been with Casey for a while.
Sure. So I play in the first act the Strangler. My character is Joan Duane, and she was a Dorchester resident living 2 blocks from the Strangler, one of the Strangler killings. So I am in the first act, and I portray her with a little bit of a comedic flair towards the end of my role. But all 3 acts are part of Casey's 18 books, and they're just phenomenal. If you like true crime, you'll be on the edge of your seat. This is the 3rd show he's done. The first one was in 2022, and that was Saints, Sinners, and Serial Killers, based on a podcast show of Casey with his colleague Dave Wedge, who is also a fantastic author. And then in 2023, we did Hunting Whitey, which was based on the Hunting Whitey book, with Neil McDonough, a Hollywood star, came in, who's also a Cape Cod native. And you'll notice that in the 3, if you look a little bit about the 3 shows, it's a returning cast. So it's, as I call it, it's great to get the whole gang back together. And this year we've got John Fiore, which is awesome. And I'm really excited. It's going to be great. It's not sold out already. It will be very soon. Casey's history is phenomenal. I met him on Cape Cod, and he's just got a fantastic, background of true crime. He worked for WBZ-TV. He's got several books. A new one coming out, Blood in the Water, is coming out in April. I've already pre-ordered it. I'm excited. I'm sure that'll go through the roof and end up being in film or something as well. It's an exciting time.
It really is. It's really an exciting time. And after our commercial break, what I'll do is just elaborate a little bit more on the charity aspect of Wednesday's performance and all. But I just wanted to put this side note before we go into the commercials. As you probably heard from Eddie, I'm general manager over at Pearl Street Station Restaurant. And Pearl Street Station Restaurant was a former railroad train station. So it's one of those things. It was built in 1891. A lot of people passed through the years, et cetera, et cetera. And ironically, Albert DeSalvo lived about 1,000 yards away from the train station. Okay,
that's right.
There were tunnels going underneath, and rumor has it, you cannot confirm it, whatever, that he may have had some interaction with some people. Some ladies during the course of his lifetime. So that's all I'll say. And it's one of those things that he was actually arrested about 50 yards from our restaurant, and they did a remake of the movie, I believe back in 2019, 2020, around that time frame, and they filmed in our area, and they actually used our restaurant, for a first sighting place. But Albert DeSalvo is from Malden Everett area, and also so it's very interesting that Act 1 is on Boston Strangler and you're on Paul Ponders. So that's great. So at this point, we're just going to go into the commercials. We're going to hear from our sponsors.
Great.
Attention WATD listeners, don't leave any money on the table. Call Performance Appraisal LLC and appraiser Arthur Boyle and Associates. Arthur may be reached at 781-293-6900 or Boyle6900 at AOL.com. Since 1994, Performance has developed many niche services ranging from appraising single-family homes to providing expert witness testimony. Again, call our own Arthur Boyle at 781-293-6900. Greetings, ATD listeners. It's Paul Solano of Paul Ponders promoting a fine wine and what to dine Italian wine tasting event to be held at the Pearl Street Station Restaurant, 53 Summer Street in Malden on Monday, March 24th from 5:30 to 7:30. This event, led by Pembroke's nationally recognized wine guru, Dave Boyle, is sponsored by the National Italian-American Sports Hall of Fame Massachusetts chapter. For ticket information of $30 per person or $50 per couple, you may contact me at paul@paulponders.com.
Have you tried Brianville Pizza Kitchen? From antipasto to baked ziti, specialty gourmet burgers, over 30 different kinds of pizza, and that's steak and cheese. Come on in and they'll show you why they made a reputation as being the best steak and cheese sub in the area. There's nobody that puts it together like your friends at the Briantville Pizza Kitchen. Chicken wings and fingers and the famous flavors complement their stir-fry dinners. If subs and wraps aren't enough for your table tonight, expand into Greek and Caesar salads, maybe even a calzone. Anyway, it's all good at the Briantville Pizza Kitchen. And don't forget, invite them to your next catered event. They'll bring the food. Briantville Pizza Kitchen. Call them at 781-293-9857. Have you heard about Pembroke Collision?
Price and quality don't often collide under the same roof. Not so at Pembroke Collision at 192 Manakesett Street in Pembroke. Pembroke Collision will work with you and your insurance company to get you back on the road in a safe and satisfactory vehicle. Put your trust in Ben Bastianelli and his crew at Pembroke Collision. Just call 781-293-4040 or find them on Facebook. Pembroke Collision, happy to work for you.
Paul Ponders continues on 95.9 WATD. Once again, Paul Solano.
We are back. Thanks for listening to Paul Ponders on WATD. And again, the call-in number is 781-837-4900. And again, on the line, we have friends Eddie Serino and Christine Moan. Welcome back, Eddie and Christine.
Thank you, Paul.
Awesome. Great to have you on. So this event is at the Wilbur Theater in Boston next Wednesday night at 7:30, I believe?
Yes.
Yes, there's a VIP at 6:30 where Casey will sign some of his books, and people can get to know the cast if they want to, and all that fun stuff.
A nice meet and greet there. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I haven't been in the Wilbur Theater in a while, but it's a beautiful venue. Really is.
Historic. That's where Marlon Brando
sure is.
Did some shows, so it's a historic venue.
Absolutely. And it will also be a hysterical venue, too, right? Because people are going to be laughing and glued to their seats with the suspense, right? With the three acts.
I think it'll be a little bit of everything for the audience. It's definitely going to be a thrill ride between the three acts.
That's great. So is there a master of ceremonies?
There is. So, do you want me to take this, or do you want to take that, Ed?
No, you speak it, Christine. Go ahead.
So the Master of Ceremonies is Jonathan Thompson. They call him JT. He's from Cape Cod. Went to high school with Casey. He does a lot of inspirational speaks, DJing, pep talks, and podcasts, and all sorts of blogs on Facebook and social media on Cape Cod. He's going to be the MC. We've got the Jay Montgomery Band will be playing also during the show in between sets. So that's going to be great. And it's going to be a great night for everybody.
That's great. Now, I think that Eddie had mentioned to me that there's some sort of charitable component to this show.
Yes. All proceeds go to Pete Freight's Foundation, who, as you know, the Ice Bucket Challenge, passed away from ALS. So all the proceeds will go to that, families, money for those that need help with ALS, for families, and everything like that. So it's going to be a great night, great fundraiser.
That's tremendous. That's tremendous. And you had mentioned a few of the cast members. Steve Sweeney, he's actually done his comedy routine at Pearl Street Station Restaurant, and Steve's just a great guy, and he does a great job on the stage from what I hear.
Yes. Yeah, very talented guy. And John Fiore from The Sopranos, and a lot of actors that I think people will realize. The world is an ironic place. I've actually done background in two of Casey's books that became movies, The Finest Hours. And the acting world is very different now since COVID hit and all the work stoppages on the West Coast between the writers and the production. And, it's like anything else. It takes a village. I mean, it's amazing that even a movie ever gets made. And even in this show, besides the people on the stage, there's a ton of people behind the scenes that do it. And I admire anybody that can try to make a full-time living doing this, because it's just not an easy road. And you have to have a love for it. Yeah. And Christine and I just met 2 years ago, just on social media, and she had just gotten into it a few years ago, and I started and stopped my, for lack of a better term, career many, many times to raise my daughter, and it's changed a lot since I've done my first plays and had a theater company, since I've done my first shows and films. And what I like about it is I really believe in lifting each other up, and because you never know. You never know who you're going to work with, where they're going to go, and I just think it's important to do that. And, I'm a late addition to this. I got an email from Casey a few weeks ago, and the first reason, I agreed to do it was A, to get back on stage, but B, I know a lot of people in the cast, and, it's good to be surrounded, to do the work for the sake of the work, be with good people, and then, of course, to raise money for charity, because Pete Freight's, that whole Ice Bucket Challenge was just amazing in the zeitgeist of the times. And it really took off, but he's got his family, and there are a lot of people that are sadly touched by that disease. And it's, just hard to go through. So I think for us to be able to do that is a great thing. And I just think it's well worth the night out in town to see this.
Absolutely. Now, tickets are still available?
Yes. Yeah, the best way is the wilburstheater.com, and they list all the events coming up. You just click on the link for Casey Sherman and the show, and it takes you right there, and there's a seating chart available, automatically populates.
Mm-hmm. I also wanted to say one more thing, too, because this is something great that's coming up. Starting in April, Casey will start his book tour, which will be Blood in the Water. It starts out at the Sandwich Library April 8th, and he'll have all sorts of book tour events in Los Angeles, Houston, Denver, New York City, the Hamptons, throughout the Northeast in the upcoming months, and that will be on social media, and there'll be dates for that all listed if anybody wants to catch that as well.
That's really great, and I'll toss out Pearl Street Station Restaurant as a possible venue if Casey wants to look over there. We have had a couple of book signings off the top of my head. James Norris, who's a past Paul Ponders guest, with his 3 books, the Feeling Left Out series. He's had 3 book signings, and also 2, we had a couple for Gotham Whale. With Big Whale, Big City, and Stranding. So we've had about 5, 6. Oh, and actually, how could I forget? Able Bodied, Michael Clarity from Malden, who it was about the first murder at a bank murder in the United States. So we had that book signing. Again, I'm not off the top of my head, and also on Joey Voices and Good Things Are Supposed to Happen to You. So we'll chat offline on this, but definitely we're happy to have something there. But it sounds really exciting, and Casey will be there, obviously. Now, what happens? What happens after Wednesday night? Does this show go on the road, or what do you do with it?
Well, I wish it did. Right now it's just one night, but there's always possibilities for things in the future, and it would be fantastic if it did go on the road, because I think all across the state people would love to see this type of show, especially true crime lovers. I mean, it's fantastic.
Yeah. And Casey is, in fact, a true crime master, as he's labeled in his bio. And we have a mutual friend, Mark Lawhon, and Casey are friends. And it's one of those things that I met Casey very briefly at a social event a few years ago, and also just an incredibly bright mind, and he has an incredibly bright cast behind him. And also,
he does.
So, Christine, how did you get into acting?
So my family here on Cape Cod had some ties with, they grew up with the Farrelly brothers. So back in the, years ago, my husband and I were in a couple of their films just as extras. And then I was in Ted 2 as an extra and did some playing around with Boston Casting a little bit. And then I had my children, so I took a break. And then my kids grew up, and I got this opportunity from Casey one day to say, hey, do you want to be in my production at the Wilbur? And I said, sure. And then as soon as that happened, it's like I got the bug again. So I dove back in a couple years ago, and I've been doing some short films, independent, doing this and that when I can, when the opportunity comes. And that's kind of how I got back into it. Actually, it's Casey. Casey got me back into got my acting bug back.
That's tremendous. And Eddie, how did you get involved in acting?
So I was raised by a poor single mom in Medford, and a summer job came up to the federal government, and I was 12 years old. And my mother said, you got to go get a summer job. So when I went to City Hall, they had two jobs left, cleaning up the parks. And the second job was something called Teens in Theater Project. And I said, you know what, I'm going to go learn about theater. And it was at a Baptist church in West Medford. And they actually changed the name to Kids in Theater because they didn't want the T-shirt to say Project Tit, which is pretty mild for today. And the instructor was a grad student at Boston Conservatory of Music, and much to my daughter's chagrin, the first role I ever played, and I still have the coin, was Ted the Spick, which was about a white couple that adopted all mixed-race kids. And I played like the youngest brother, kind of a, provocateur. And I'll never forget Ovidio Vargas, tremendous actor, was the teacher, and he came over to me and said, we're in like a family meeting, and he's like, I need you to act up. I want you to, bother your sister. She's talking. So I'm sitting there, and I'm throwing popcorn off my head, and then one of the other actors, David, smacked me across the head, and it wasn't a stage slap. He hit me. And I'll never forget looking in the wings, and Ovidio was ecstatic and saying, that's it, Eddie, that's acting, that's acting. And I'm thinking, me getting beat up is acting? But it's all about being in the moment and reacting. And I went to school for theater, did some films, was going to go to New York, had my day job, and, had a kid. And I've started and stopped many times. I had a small theater company in Boston. And I've been in and out of it quite a few times, and I tried to get back into it again a few years ago. And it's just, the thing now is the marketing side of it is much different, because when I started out, you were called into a casting director's office to audition, and you got to get real feedback as you were doing stuff. Now everything is done on film. You'll get a notice, you'll make a tape, video, and you'll send it in. And it's got a much different thing. And you know me, Paul, for a long time. Mm-hmm. I'm the nicest guy alive, but I look like a jerk.
You sure are.
Without a doubt.
I always get caught, mafia, drug dealer. But I really do have much respect for, anybody in the environment of today with a lot of films going overseas, and it's just hard to, to get the money to make stuff, and it's just a different world. So, it's like something I'm always, I'm going to do it until I can't anymore. And like Chris said, you get the bug, and, I've met a lot of good people. I mean, Christine's a dear friend now, and I never would have met her if I didn't reply to something she posted on an acting page in Boston about, hey, how do I do this? How do I do that? So that's the
You're very helpful.
I'm glad
we became fast friends.
Yes, we did hit it off, and that's the blessing to all of this. Just to work with good people. I've had some great experiences on film sets with certain people that are very famous, and then I've had some that I'm like an acting geek, so I watch the credits after, and I'll know a character actor and what they did. And it is kind of a bummer sometimes when you meet somebody you look up to and respect, and you just say hi or something nice, and they kind of like give you the Heisman and push you off with their hands. So, it's funny. I remember reading Casey in the Herald, and I knew people he worked with at WBZ, and I never thought this would happen. So it's just a small world, and it's a blessing, and I'm really very proud to be part of this cast, because there really is a lot of talent and a lot of people that really are giving their all for this.
That's awesome. Well, as Stephen Wright would say, it's a small world, but I wouldn't want to paint it. And I know whenever I see you at a local coffee shop, Eddie, we always end up saying it's a small world, but I wouldn't want to paint it. Absolutely. So, Christine and Eddie, I thank you for being on. And one final shout out for your production next Wednesday.
Yep, people want to go to the WhipperTheater.com for tickets, and they just hit the link for A Nightmare with Casey Sherman, and it brings them right up to look at what tickets are available. But it's selling out very quick, so I definitely do it
and don't
sooner
miss
than
it.
later.
Well, I'm
Be
going
on the edge of your seat.
I love it, and I'm going to try to get away from we have a group coming in from another state on a field trip and all, but I'm going to try to rush into Boston and try to be there myself. But we're running out of time, but as they say in the industry, break a leg.
Thank you so much.
You got it.
Thanks for being on.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Be well. Break a leg. Well,
alrighty.
Thank you. Well, I want you to stay tuned to WATD for the Memories with Ron Dwyer, the grand poobah of oldies rock and roll. Ron, you are a true leader of the pack with great musical memories of yesteryear. Thanks again to Tim, Arthur Boyle, and our advertisers, but really, thank you, listeners in WATD world and beyond. Keep Paul pondering. #Indeed.